It's Morphin' time!
It's Morphin' time! Dragon Sword!
It's Morphin' time! Dragon Sword!
It's Morphin' time! Tyrannosaurus Rex!
Morphin' time! Go, go, Mega Force! Ha!
Yeah!
Flames of the Phoenix! Super Mega Force, ping!
She knows the whole...
What do we want? Super Sentai! Hechida!
It's Morphin' time! Dragon Sword! Yeah!
Nice.
Yep.
You want me to scoot it down? No. Do you want to be farther removed?
I would like to.
Great.
That's great. That's mighty Morphin'.
That's amazing.
It's awesome. Thank you for being here. This is really complicated words. Awesome.
Go for it.
And I'll say,
All right.
Check. Floor recognizes the Honorable Senator from Power Rangers Dino Charge.
That's an echo.
That is an echo. Hot mic.
I hope that was a test.
Yeah, test. Can you hear me all right? No?
Audience participation.
How about now? Yeah, guys, you gotta wake up. I know it's Sunday morning.
Good morning!
Thank you all for being here, and welcome to our Morphin' Time Meet the Power Rangers panel. My name is Ben Kliewer. I'm a comedian and actor, and I work on The Con Guy. It's a podcast that you can find on the Popcorn Talk on YouTube, and you can also download the audio anywhere you get your podcasts. It's those neighbors again. Cool, we've got a soundtrack. But yeah, check out The Con Guy. We talk about all things comic book convention. And it's a fun little show, and we'll oftentimes have guests much like the ones that we have here today for you. So, without further ado, let's get to the part of the panel that you guys came to see. I'm going to introduce to you our 4 Power Ranger panelists. Sitting directly to my right, you know him as Orion, the Silver Super Mega Force Ranger from Power Rangers Mega Force 2014. Please welcome Cameron. For yourself, you earned it. You're a Power Ranger. Sitting next to him, Danny Delgado, the Black Bison Wild Force Ranger, Power Rangers Mega Force 2002. Please welcome actor Jack Guzman. To Jack's right, he was Ivan, the Gold Dino Charge Ranger. In Power Rangers Dino Charge from 2015 to 2016. Davi Santos.
Davi Santos? Davi Santos.
Davi, I said it right.
No, you did say it.
I said it right. And at the end there, he was Heckling Snide from Power Rangers Dino Charge 2015-2016. Please welcome Ryan Carter. Snide, right? Heckle and Snide?
Yes.
Okay. Cool. All right, well, let's jump in. First off, hot mics. We got hot mics. Here we go. Thank you guys all so much for being here.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, I really appreciate you being here. Are you guys sharing a mic? We got plenty.
No, we're not.
What? No, I could have 3.
We are, but that's okay.
No, sure. Okay.
It's fine, Ben.
Okay. First of all, do any of you guys have any opening words you'd like to start off with for our beautiful, lovely fans who joined us here early on a Sunday morning?
yay, big thank you.
Exactly. The Power Ranger universe wouldn't be the same without you, so we appreciate you showing up on a Sunday morning instead of church. Give it up!
You skip church and football for us. That's pretty great. Thank you.
Church and football, it's the American way, and Power Rangers.
Which church and football pretty much go hand in hand with a lot of America.
Some say churches.
Thanks for being here.
So I'm going to open up with some questions. We'll run through a few of those, and then we'll see if you guys, as fans, have any questions for the Rangers up here. So, any of you can jump in on this. Were you guys fans of the show growing up before you became a Power Ranger, before you became an actor even? Were you fans of the show?
Yes.
Yes.
I watched the show as a kid. I started with Mighty Morphin because it was like right as I was coming into that age of being able to understand anything on television. And I wasn't allowed to watch it, so I would sneak out on Saturday mornings and turn the volume all the way down on the TV and sit 2 inches from the TV so I could hear it. I would sneak to watch it, and then finally when I was actually allowed to watch it, I think I stopped around like 96 or 7 or something like that. So, but yes, I was a fan as a child.
Yeah.
Hey, Jack,
Yeah.
how about you?
I actually was not a fan. I was more into like G.I. Joe and Thundercats. I'm a lot older, so I wasn't really a fan of the show, but obviously after I worked on it and all that, it was awesome and great experience, and so grateful for it. But before the show, no, I was not a fan. In a good way, though, in a good way.
Davi, how about you?
Yeah, I used to watch Mighty Morphin for sure. I loved like the Red Ranger. He was my jam, and I had all the toys and blankets and everything. Like I had the Halloween costume as like red. I think that my favorite color is still red as a result of like back then.
Nice. Well, I couldn't really be a fan if I wanted to, because I was in New Zealand and it was banned for my entire childhood.
So,
because
of violence?
I think because it was like considered too violent to be a kids show.
Right.
Just because the premise was like a whole bunch of battles, which is kind of, it's like not really an overly violent show at all. And it kind of isn't aimed at like super young kids. It's kind of that like middle space. But yeah, no, I never got to watch it. So I kind of, when I first got into the show, watched a whole bunch and was like, okay, now I get a whole bunch of pop culture references and I understand what it's Morphin time means.
So, Ryan, for you then, going into, what was the process for you to kind of get into the show? Because obviously I would imagine for Cameron and Davi, you were like, oh right, I've got an audition for Power Rangers, this is awesome, this is a dream come true. Ryan, you didn't grow up on the show particularly, so how was that experience for you? Did you know about it at all before you went in for the audition?
A bit, because it had often been filmed in New Zealand, lots of my friends had kind of worked on it or acted on it, so I had like an idea of what it was about. But then I wasn't auditioning for a Power Ranger, it was kind of just like some non-specific bad guy that got to, it was like a scene of him screaming at people. So I was just like, fantastic, that's all I want to do. And I was, like I said before, I was having a holiday with my family when I had to tape it, so it was me just screaming at my mum before going to like a pool and having some margaritas. So it was like one of the best days ever.
So it's just you in a resort and hotel room screaming at your mom on camera for 5 minutes.
Yeah, exactly, putting one on the middle.
And you send that into the producers.
Thank you, Ben.
And you do an American accent on the show.
I do.
And did you audition in an American accent?
Yeah.
Okay. Very cool.
It's impressive.
Jack, do you want to talk about your audition process at all, or?
Yeah, I'm sure they've heard it before. Do you guys want to hear it? Or? Yeah. Okay. Basically, I think what he's getting at is that I had the audition just like any of us here, I'm sure, and I went and I didn't really know what I was getting into. I had just started in the business and all I wanted to do was background work. I never wanted to act. I thought actors were weird.
You were wrong.
Not wrong.
And then, so I went to the audition and, you know, they asked, hey, are you a fan of the Power Rangers? Have you ever watched the show? And I was like, you know, not really. I've seen probably one episode, and then they asked, what did you think of it? And I was like, well, you know, it's not my thing, it kind of sucked. And, you know, I guess being honest worked out for me that one time because I ended up getting the job, so be honest.
It always makes me laugh because then I see, you know, Jack, your social media presence, and it seems like you've come back and really embraced Power Rangers and kind of realized what the fan base brings to.
Absolutely, no, 100%. And again, man, I always tell these younger guys and all you fans, thank you so much because I did the show 16 years ago and here you are on a Sunday morning at least wanting to hear what I still have to say, so that's pretty important to me. I really appreciate that.
That's awesome. And again, that's thanks to, oh, I just hit the mic, my apologies. That's thanks to you guys as the fans of Power Rangers. So thank you guys for being awesome. Can you guys talk about some of the training or some of the physical, like 2 separate categories, the physical auditioning process, showing what kind of athletic prowess you may or may not have had, versus any kind of training that they sponsored for you or put you through for the show specifically? Anybody want to jump in on that?
I'll never forget 5 rounds into the audition process. We had to go home, come back, go home, come back 5 times. And then on the 5th time, they were like, all right, you guys are like the last ones that are, you know, possibly being on. We're gonna have a running test. I'm like, what? So they literally had us all go to the parking lot of the building and then run from one side to the other and videotape us to see how we did. So that was absurd, but I think I did okay. And then, yeah, the martial arts, like I grew up doing that, so like to be able to do it on screen was like really exciting because, yeah, I did it as a kid, so it was really fun.
How many of you had martial arts experience previous to auditioning for Power Rangers?
I mean, like a half hand raise.
An elbow?
No, I did
None whatsoever.
None? None.
Yeah.
You just beat people up at the park.
You know, it's funny because a lot of the times we get asked this, and I think it's prior to my season at least, a lot of the Power Rangers were asked or they required for them to have some type of martial arts experience. When I got there, I didn't have to do any martial arts or have known any, and also the training that they did give us, which was I think 2.5 to 3 weeks of training, I missed because they had hired someone else for my part. And it turns out he had done a horrible job, or he was just loud and obnoxious or whatnot, and he got fired during the training.
Oh my God.
So he did all the training, got fired, and then I just came in and started beating people up without any training.
I believe it, I believe it.
Fake beating people.
Yes.
I did Taekwondo as a kid for a few years, but it didn't stick with me. So by the time I got to the Power Rangers auditions, also our auditions were not physically taxing. Like they didn't even make us run. They were like, they were like, if you could please just prep like a little 30-second thing that has some martial arts involved, or just, you know, kicks.
Yeah.
And so I remember like trying to dig back into my Taekwondo days and like remembering my gi or whatever it's called. And
That means outfit.
or well, no, not gi.
Kata.
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 You remember, but I don't remember what it's actually called. Form. In Taekwondo, it's the form. And I tried to dig through some of that, and I guess I did all right. But no, our auditions were not taxing. But the training, it was pretty intense. I think you guys went through it as well. We did like, so I did wushu kung fu with the stunt guy, who's the leader, the bald wolf guy. Can't remember his name.
Not me.
Yuji. With Yuji. So Yuji trained me in wushu, and then bow staff and some more hand-to-hand and some sword stuff, because I had that giant trident.
Eugene went on to direct.
Yeah.
He became like the second unit director. So was he a director when you were there?
He did some directing when I was there on second unit, yeah.
He was like the main director for me.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's great.
So he went up.
Wow. Yeah, so I did that separately because I came in obviously later than the other Rangers, and so I felt kind of special and I got some sort of personalized training. But they actually did some fun stuff in like gyms and training videos and stuff where they got to like work as a group and do big fight choreo together and with swords and random like guns and stuff. So yeah.
My audition wasn't taxing. I think the whole season was taxing.
Yeah.
In the sense that they asked me at the audition, can you just take off your shirt?
No, they didn't.
Yeah, I swear to God.
That's
Things were a lot different back then. So I went ahead and took off my shirt, and their only question was like, so do you think you can stay at that weight for during the whole season?
Wow.
I said, yeah, I think so, you know. So
Fired.
that was it. No kicks, no katas, no gis, no just don't eat that much. Stay that weight. You got this. That was taxing for me, but I love to eat.
I know that they have had to put Spanx on certain Rangers. I don't know names like specifically, but I know that like some of our makeup and costume team told us that for sure Rangers had gone over and started filming and gained a substantial amount of weight. Wow. And they had to buy Spanx for the actors. Yeah.
Yeah, it's nice.
Because they were looking very different in their spandex that they used to.
I mean, unrealistic body goals.
Yes, yeah, unrealistic. Well, it's not even that, they just like didn't match. They didn't look the same.
Yeah. But then most of the time, because all the Rangers are like, I'd say probably it would be fair to say 70% of the time when you see someone in a suit, it will be a Japanese.
It's the Japanese actor. Yeah.
And they're amazing. But also, they're just their body shape is so slender, so toned.
Yep.
And it's just so different. I feel like you just have to suspend your disbelief when suddenly someone who's like shaped like this turns into someone who's shaped like this.
Yeah.
It is morphin' time again.
We're physically morphed.
Yeah.
Ryan, did you have a lot of physical stuff that you had to do for the show?
No, I figured out at a really early age I was super uncoordinated. So my background was more like art classes. So when I went for the audition and they were like, "Can you do any kicks?" I pulled out one phenomenal kick, which shocked even me. I did it, and I was like, "Thank you." But no, apart from that, I didn't do much. I was involved in a little bit of stunt stuff. So one stunt thing was running around and doing a kick, and no jokes, it was first thing in the morning. And I hadn't stretched at all, and I was just like, I'm sure we'll do just a little jog around the corner. But then the guy I was with broke into a full sprint, so I broke into a full sprint and pulled both my car. So I literally had to run around the corner and injured myself. And then in another scene, it was a fight scene, and I didn't duck at the right time and got a sword to the head.
Oh, yes!
It was they're big foam, fancy swords. So I think they also were just Ryan's uncoordinated. Don't get him to do anything too fancy, or just put a professional stunt guy in there.
Yeah.
So no, I suck at stunts, so
Yeah.
I didn't do much of
You're
that.
also wearing a three-piece suit.
Oh yeah, I
throughout
was
the
wearing
show.
in the first day I ripped the pants. So that as much as I didn't do stunts, the costume was not designed. I had to do a lunge, not even a lunge, just bending down to pick someone up, and just ripped the entire back to front of the pants. And it was at the end of the day, so they were stapling it together and just trying to shield my jump. But yeah, but it was a really good way to meet it. It was my first day, so it was a perfect icebreaker because it was kind of embarrassing, but totally not my fault. So a good way to just relieve any tension. Yeah.
Cam, didn't you wear a wig?
Yeah, I wore a wig for weeks.
Weeks? You
Wow.
never took it off?
No, they had me in a wig for the first few episodes because I was, coming from another planet, and I was a stowaway, and I was living in the forest and training on my own, and then the girls gave me a makeover, and I got a makeover montage. They put me in a goth outfit, they put me in a jock's outfit, and they were very stereotyped on the outfits that they makeover montage me in, and then we landed on the ever so subtle silver leather jacket with a wallet chain and everything. So yeah. No, but I had a wig, and it was very uncomfortable. Apparently, it was a $5,000 wig.
Wow. Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Real horsehair.
It was like human hair. It was yeah.
I won't be getting one of those.
Yes, I was in a wig.
How do you guys feel about your interactions when you come to conventions like this with fans? What are some of the fun or crazy or just really fascinating or flattering things that fans will do to either when they approach you or to get your attention, relating to Power Rangers, of course, not just I've seen you on TV. Do they come dressed up as you or anything like that?
Dressed up. This one team once came in front of us and did a break dance, to like the theme song, I was like, hats off, helmet off for you. That was pretty amazing. And people like fly in. I think it's incredible the enthusiasm that's brought on.
Oh yeah. Two things. We meet incredible artists as well, and there's these these guys that come in with just like beautiful like woodblock prints and like crazy just beautiful comic art and T-shirts that they've designed and stuff that are all after like your character or the Power Rangers or whatever, and they're just like, here, have it.
Yeah.
They just like give you their art. It's super flattering and super, like, we don't deserve it at all.
I display everything that's given.
Yeah, it's so cool to have it. I have like a box of all the stuff that they've given us.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Jack?
No, again, man, I'm just super grateful, and it's just awesome whenever you guys come up to us and like they said, give us any type of artwork or anything you guys have put together. For myself, I find that there's not a lot of Wild Force things out there, or a lot of cosplays and things like that, so when I see that, definitely get amped up. But just the fact that you guys have watched my show personally and know what it's about and all that, it's just really cool, man. Yeah, just forever grateful, dude. I can't say it enough, man. It's always because of you guys that I come out, and yeah, just to be remembered is a nice thing. You know, what sucks about this is that tomorrow morning, my girlfriend will tell me, you know, go take out the garbage, go do laundry, and I'm not a hero anymore. That's the worst part. But yeah, it's really cool to come to these things.
Ryan, are there a lot of Heckle and Snide fans out there?
Yeah, it's quite like nice, because I went for the first time, because you never really get anything back home or any sort of fans there, so it was interesting to go to the Morphicon. Is that, yeah. And
Morphicon.
because Heckle's super, like, he's quite like a niche character, like he's a villain, and he's not like the one that people generally connect with. So when you do find like the rare person who's like in, there's been a few people who are in like full Heckle outfits and things like that, it's really nice to meet them and be like, hey, thanks for the support. And Power Rangers fans are really beautiful, they're really nice. I've done a few, thank you. I've done a few other shows with like strong fan bases, and Power Rangers fans are miles and miles ahead. They've just got like really, overall, with like big hearts, and they're super like passionate and fun-loving, and like also generous, like beautiful art and things like that. Yeah, it's really, really lovely. So thank you so much.
What is the best part about being a Power Ranger or Power Ranger villain?
I gotta say, for most of us, Power Rangers was like our first big acting gig, or just first acting gig, like, or on camera gig. So getting to travel across the world, for some of us, sorry Ryan, some of us getting to travel all the way across the world to literally Middle Earth to film for months at a time is like a wild dream come true. And the country is beautiful, and the people are incredible, and it just is a total surreal experience. And so, for me, my favorite part of being a Power Ranger was getting to shoot and work in New Zealand.
And the confirmation that anything is possible. I think there's a lot of times in our lives when we have those moments where like, oh man, this is something I've always wanted to do, and I'm getting to do it. What else can I accomplish, or what else can I help other people realize that they can do? And I think that was like a really big sort of anvil experience of like, wow, this was something that I've always wanted to do, and like here we are. So, Ryan.
Yeah, I mean, for me it was just sort of like going out, but it was, as far as like, I don't know. I think, yeah, it was just kind of like really nice to be able to do something at home as well, and be able to just like chill out. And it was my first kind of big gig, so it was fun to experience that.
Did you work a lot in New Zealand prior to that in acting?
No, I had so I was living in Australia, and I've been sort of working there for a bit, and I'd just gotten out of, I went to acting school in Australia, I'd just gotten out of that, and then did Power Rangers. But then after that, I worked kind of predominantly in New Zealand.
And now you're in Los Angeles.
Now I'm in LA. Yeah, and that's how life goes.
Jen,
I think for myself, like they said, number one, for me it was my first big acting job, and I learned tons. It was like my university of acting. I learned so many things about being on a series and, you know, behind the scenes type of things. But as far as for myself personally, it's just so nice to, you know, I've been a working actor now for about 19 years, and I can sit up here and name off shows, and usually people are like, well, I've never heard of that. Or I've never been, you know, the movie, and they're like, well, I've never heard of that. Whereas when you say I was on Power Rangers, anywhere in the world that I've ever been, people are like, hell yeah, I know exactly that show. So it's very cool, you know, in that sense. Maybe just fulfilling, like the gentleman here said.
All right, I would like to, oh, by the way, I wanted to acknowledge, we subbed out our interpreter here, so give I like that. I like their like tap out. I'm in.
Are you guys in training? Are you studying and training all this, or are you just volunteers?
I'm not.
No.
I'm not a student. I'm not training. Do this pretty much full time.
That's
It's
amazing.
my first language.
Wow, that's awesome. Well, thank you so much for being here. That's big help.
Any of the audience have questions? There's a microphone right here. If you could step up to that. Does anybody have any questions at the moment? Well, I got a whole list here, so we can keep going. But if any of you guys have anything you want to ask, oh, we got a couple getting up. Commander Riker over there.
Hi.
Hi, what's your name?
I'm Tony, by the way.
Tony? Nice to meet you. What
So,
position do you have?
because like we're in LA Comic Con, you know, everything about comics, I would like to ask you guys, like, if you could portray a superhero in like the big screen, who would you portray as?
Ooh, that's a good one. That's a good one, I like that.
Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah, guys, any superhero that you would love to play on the big screen?
The Lone Ranger. That used to be my favorite show growing up, that's why.
That's pretty cool, I like that one.
You guys probably don't even know who that is. Yeah,
Lone Ranger.
He has no clue who it is.
Hi-Ho Silver.
Johnny Depp tried to do it.
Yeah, Johnny Depp. Yeah. Well, no, yeah, Armie Hammer was the Lone Ranger. Johnny Depp was Tonto for some reason. For some reason.
That doesn't work.
I think Nightwing, for sure. I mean, you know, Batman is awesome. I think we've seen lots of Batman, but like, what happened to Robin? What happened to Robin after you know what happened to Robin? You know, Nightwing happened. I want to be Nightwing. Where's Sarah? Because we know where Rachel is.
I feel like I'd much like rather play a villain. Like the Riddler would be a fun.
The Riddler.
And I feel like Jim Carrey was great, but I feel like it's also this sort of like the hard thing about playing a superhero or a super villain or whatever is that so many people have done it. You're kind of like immediately compared. And I'm like the Riddler, like. You've got Jim Carrey, but apart from that, you can kind of just do what you want. I feel like you could really just do your own thing.
Yeah, you got Frank Gore and Jim Carrey are the two.
Uncharted territory. Well, not uncharted, but yeah.
And they're both
less
like,
charted.
so flamboyant and of that like time when Batman was a super camp, like pow, Zipping, like kind of thing. You have to do something with it.
What's sign language for zipping?
You spell that one?
You just spelled it, okay. And what about you, King?
I used to say Daredevil all the time. I used to just think that he was the coolest, being blind and using echolocation and all that stuff. Yeah, love the hat.
That is a dope hat.
But I gotta be honest, like with all the Daredevils that have been made, I'm just kind of over it. And I feel like I wouldn't want to be him on screen anymore. Like I used to though. Like as a kid, I was like, he's the coolest superhero by far.
Well, I thought the show really killed it. So.
It was great, yeah. I just don't know if there can be a better version of that right now. So,
so do you have a backup?
Aquaman. Yeah. I don't know.
Is that because you held a trident for so long?
Yes. But I always like sort of identified with it too. I was like, I'm a skinny blonde guy. I can be a superhero.
That's what it takes to be
comics. And in the comics, he was muscular, let's be honest, but he's a thin blonde man. And I was like, I want to talk to fish, and I'm kind of scared of water a little bit. So
Jason Momoa shattered your dreams.
Yeah.
Jason Momoa shattered more than just my dreams.
Now Aquaman's a jacked.
He's a giant slightly Hawaiian,
Polynesian.
Polynesian guy. Yeah. Woo! So, yeah.
There you go.
Well,
All right, Commander Riker.
Yes. My question's for Cameron. I was wondering if you saw that WWE wrestler a couple weeks ago who came out with your costume. Okay, so what are your thoughts on that?
with the gold mode.
The gold mode, yeah.
The gold mode vest on, that was pretty wild. I wonder if he got like in trouble for that, because that's totally licensed by, well, Hasbro now, but yeah, did you hear about anything, any kind of backlash? Because that's fascinating to me.
I just saw like a lot of positive from the Power Rangers
so
fans, a lot of
positive,
positive
yeah.
reaction, like, oh wow, this is our thing, I love it. And a lot of people who are fans of both.
Oh
were
yeah, all over
excited.
social media it was super positive.
Yeah.
I feel like Hasbro has a hand in, it was a WWE.
WWE.
I think they might have a part ownership or connection or something.
I think it's hilarious. Because wasn't he wearing like a luchador mask?
Yeah, and this thing was like all the different masks, but in the style of your
Guess
vest.
what? Guess what? I just got a luchador mask. So maybe I should dig up a costume.
Cameron's new cosplay.
And put on the
Yeah.
My friend literally just sent me a luchador mask, silver luchador mask from Mexico, and so maybe I should. Maybe I should do that for Halloween.
Awesome.
And
Thanks
what's
for
your name?
Steven.
Steven.
Thanks,
here.
Steve. Yeah.
Thanks for answering.
Yeah.
All right, another question.
This question's for Ryan. Are you aware of your character in the comic books that will be coming out?
Yeah, I am. It's really cool. Like the character gets, because it was kind of, people were bummed that the character didn't turn into the Talon Ranger. Is it?
Yeah, but they use the Dark Ranger as
The
the
Dark,
title.
yeah. Yeah, so he turns into that in the comic books, which is sick. I was so happy. Yeah, and they're really like cool, beautiful done comic books as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And can you tell us your name?
JD.
Thank you.
Thanks, man.
Yeah. Cool. What's your name and what's your question?
Hi, my name is Moses.
Moses.
I know you guys are all from different Power Ranger series, but what was your guys' favorite episode shooting?
Mine was called Never Give Up, and I basically, it's just my favorite because it was about me.
The man is honest.
Yeah, there was this friendship episode where we got to, literally the whole day was like wake up, go to, what do you call the dunes? Like the dunes that you have in New Zealand? Yeah, and we just had to like, we had to do a friendship episode where we're having so much fun as friends, and then this monster comes and cuts our friendship bonds, right? So we're like, well, to establish friendship, we're gonna be dune boogieing like all day long, and then like they had a Jeep for us, so as soon as we got to the bottom, we jump on the Jeep, and then we drive all the way up to the top. So that was like an amazing day. And they're like, all right, that's a wrap, thank you. And we're like, wow.
Didn't even feel like work that
That
day.
wasn't, no, it wasn't.
That's so cool.
My favorite day was in the dunes as well. It was when there was like an episode where it was like also like my episode. So I think you just like it more because you get to do a whole bunch of crazy fun stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was about my home planet getting destroyed. So it was lots of like explosions. I actually got to do some stunts and I did them reasonably well. So, like, also personal achievements. But yeah, it was fun to just like have things be blown up and roll around in the dirt and scream and cry.
It's funny, my homeworld was on the dunes.
Wow.
My homeworld got destroyed on the dunes.
Oh.
I did some stunts on the dunes.
I knew.
Everybody loves the dunes.
Yeah.
Yeah, the dunes are the best.
Yeah, it's just, you can do so much stuff on the dunes and not get hurt.
Yeah, exactly.
Is it literally like sand?
It's just big, giant, soft sand.
Yeah. Nice.
Yeah.
And scorpions?
No.
No. Actually, New Zealand, I don't
There's
think
not
has
much that
any
can
like
get
dangerous
hurt you
animals.
in
Yeah, there's like one
Spiders.
poisonous spider.
Just one. And
Just
it's
one.
like only north on the North Island, kind of.
And it only attacks if you like piss it off, so just leave it alone.
I like to think thousands of years ago, New Zealand was like, we don't want any more of these dangerous animals. Here, Australia, have them. All right, cool. What's your name and what's your question?
My name is Jose, and I want to ask something for Jack. So, you know, there was a crossover with Wild Force and Time Force?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, right? So, I think Jason Fallon and Ricardo Mendes, Ricardo Medina, yeah. They had to do the whole running at the end.
Yeah.
So, was it actually like just for funsies, or actually have to coordinate that of some sort?
You know, I think Ricardo was almost very method a lot, so if he was running, I'm sure it was part of something they asked him to do, man. They barely ran on their own. We were too lazy.
That's part of that question too. When everybody was having fun at the end, and all of a sudden, it's like I think the main villain is her daughter. I forgot the name of it. So I think the Asian guy, I think the Mr. Cool guy, tried to date on her. So everybody's trying to hit on her, supposedly with flowers at the end. And then she doesn't like anybody except for Mr. Cool guy over there. So how's the whole story, love story after that? Did it come afterwards or not?
No, man, I don't think there was a story. And plus, I mean, I'm sure you're aware that we were the last season of Disney. We didn't get to go to New Zealand, so pretty much they just try to wrap everything up for us here and let it, let's get out of here and go head out to New Zealand. So that's why a lot of the things I think in our season were either just left out or sometimes don't even make sense because it was just a hurry up and let's get out of here, Plus, I feel really bad because the crew that had been working on Power Rangers for 10 years, basically, at the beginning of our season, imagine they come up to you and they say, hey, thanks for 10 years, you're all fired after this. So it was like, of course they wanted to work, but you have that kind of hidden behind you where it's like, man, this is my last year. So I don't know, I felt like the stepchild there for a second. But yeah, but thanks for asking, man. Welcome.
Yeah, they kept like three or four people on when they moved to New Zealand. Exactly. 3 or 4 people from the American crew went over for quite a while too. Years and years and years. Chris, did you guys have Chris Auer? No. No, he was the first AD for second unit for our season, and then for I think 7 seasons before us. Wow. Yeah. So yeah, he came to New Zealand from the original series in the US.
Interesting. Hi, what's your name and what's your question?
My name is Sean. I love all you guys. You guys
are
great.
Love you.
And I had a question for Davi. In one of the episodes, you were introduced to your great descendant.
Oh yeah.
And I thought that was just so awesome, and that could have gone in so many directions with the series. So I wanted to know. Unfortunately, they didn't bring that back. Did you have any ideas, or did you want to do something with your descendant? I think it's like your grandnephew.
Yeah,
If
great
you wanted to do
grandson.
anything with that, or you had any ideas you were trying to tell the crew, and they're like, oh no, we're not going to do that.
I mean, yeah, they kind of have this whole master plan, so as much as it's sometimes we'll go in and be like, hey, it would be really cool if, we thought since Sir Ivan was a knight and Coda was a caveman, how cool would it be if they had an episode? So we would drop those kinds of things. But in terms of Zach, so there was an episode where I meet my great-great-great-great-grandson descendant, and I get to play him, right? So it's just us two, and it would be cool, right, if Zach became a ranger, then, now you have to play yourself and a ranger and someone else as you and a ranger, so that would be pretty amazing. But we're gonna have to leave it to the future seasons for that one. That was one of my favorite episodes, though. Thank you.
When you are, just to tack on to that, when you're acting and you're playing both the roles in the scene, were you doing a lot of green screen, blue screen, that sort of thing?
It was a green screen, and then there was a tennis ball. So then I had the whole scene was to the tennis ball as myself, and then they also then would have another actor that looked kind of like me to have his shoulder and stuff in it. Yeah. Then someone else would read the lines. So it was a little bit a bit of a trip, and then do the same thing on the other side.
It's called a photo double, for those of you in the crowd who aren't familiar. When they hire an actor that looks kind of like the actor to shoot over their shoulder or from a distance or something like that. So, interesting.
Good old PD.
Good old PD.
Photo double.
Yeah, very cool. Anybody else have questions? We've got probably 12 minutes left for the panel. Oh, here we go.
Hi, my name is Nicholas. What is your favorite music genre? Rock.
Music genre?
Music genre.
And you said rock.
Rock.
All right. How about you guys? What kind of music do you guys listen to?
Personally, man, I like everything except rock or heavy metal or any of that. Sorry about that, but yeah.
My music taste is normally I'm the person who's banned from choosing songs at a party because I'm in the mood. Ella. I love Bjork. I really like Bjork. I like alternative music. Yes. Yeah. But yeah, when you're at a party, no one wants to listen to Bjork. No one wants to listen to London Grammar. No one wants to listen to Sufjan Stevens or Florence and the Machine.
I like them.
Sufjan Stevens.
Yeah, I like Sufjan Stevens.
Great. or like movie soundtracks are great. Lots of composers. I don't know if you know like Misha Levy or like massive ones like Max Richter, Philip Glass.
Simmer, Henry Mincy.
Yes, I love like big dramatic composers.
Yeah.
You can listen to their like crazy music when you're on a run and be like,
yes.
Da 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 da.
Oh
yeah. Like I literally put on the soundtrack to The Holiday, that rom-com, the other night. Like I drove home to the soundtrack to The Holiday. I love film score. I would say that it's probably like my favorite genre, but I don't listen to it as much because nobody in my life really listens to it. So, but yeah, pretty much anything except for like screaming like metal music, and yeah, that's pretty much it.
Yeah. I'm very Surviving as well, so I mean, like, we rode up here, like, listening to just old school jazz and like, old classical music, and, like, yeah, just to, like, you know, like, work music, too, is really great. You can just get in the zone, so everything, like, from film composition to, like, the old masters, it's always great to hear.
I personally don't know the names, but if any of you guys care to listen, just it's 94.7 away. You probably hear it at every elevator. That's my
elevator here.
Keep it chill.
Yeah.
All right.
Hello. Hello.
Hi, I'm Kathy. But anyway, I was just wondering, do they still, or like, they still use the Japanese show where they switch between the like the fighting from that show and then Power Rangers? Like, do they kind of like reuse the footage from like those seasons and like keep doing it, or is that still happening?
Oh yeah. They're so many years ahead of us in their seasons. So we have, I guess, or Hasbro, it was Saban, but now Hasbro licenses all that footage from the Japanese brand, Power Rangers brand. And so they just have years and years and years of footage ahead of us that we can then pull from when we decide, or when they decide what Power Rangers they're going to start next.
But that doesn't mean that we don't still shoot our own fight sequences, which we always at the same time have two teams, one shooting the drama and the other one shooting all the fights. And then they splice that up together. So you see a combo.
Yeah. But the footage does quite strongly dictate what happens in the series. For example, even with like my character, there were talks about him becoming a ranger and doing this, but it didn't happen because it doesn't really suit like the Japanese footage they could put together. And they'll be like, but yeah, I mean, it's still, they still do film. It's like a massive amount of fight scenes. Like it's like a year of 5 days a week, Unit 2 filming like action scenes. So a massive amount of it is still
full
done.
schedule.
Yeah, as original stuff for whichever American series it is.
A lot of stuff that we film in New Zealand on the fight side of things and on the second unit, a lot of those fight scenes are actually used as transitional scenes. So they'll jump in with us as the actors with our suits on, and then when we put the helmet on, that's when like the second unit sort of footage will show up with us, with the fight footage being filmed in New Zealand, and that's sort of a transitional thing. And then all of a sudden you'll see like a cut, and that's when the Japanese footage will come in.
Yeah, it's all the giants.
Yes.
Yeah, when they're giant, that's normally Japanese.
Yep. And then like so it's like the very first part of the fight scene and the very last part of the fight scene are usually us in or our current stunt doubles in New Zealand, and then the meat of the fight scene is usually the Japanese footage.
That's kind of comforting, you know. I always thought, I mean, we did 44 episodes and only one was about me, so I always thought it was personal, but that's cool to know that it was prejudged.
Oh yeah, a lot of what we have.
Thank goodness for that.
Yeah, it's dictated by the Japanese show for sure.
Yeah, 1 out of 44.
It's a good question. Thank you.
No.
Thanks.
Absolutely, and for those of you who may not know what they're talking about, is there was a Japanese kind of, originally Power Rangers, all the footage, all the costumes that you're familiar with, was a Japanese show, and to put it into context, the 1993 Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, Mastodon, Pterodactyl, Triceratops, Saber-Tooth Tiger, Tyrannosaurus, etc., they used footage lifted from the Japanese show that they licensed to repurpose into an American show, and that was the 14th season of the Japanese show. And that footage was used as the first season of the American show. So they have all these years of footage that they can pull from and splice from that Saban and now Hasbro has licensed that footage, and then they take what footage they have of them fighting monsters and that sort of thing, and then they have to build the American show storyline around that, because the storyline in the Japanese show is way different.
It's more grown up. It's for, you know, like teens and young adults, whereas ours is really geared towards the younger child / into early teendom.
Yes.
Hello, I'm Steven. I wanted to ask, do you think now at this point the show could take a little more risk with some character traits, like maybe one of the Rangers dealing with like depression or homelessness?
Oh, they so
Absolutely.
should.
I mean, I would think they are, right? In the movie, wasn't it one of the girls was part of the LGBT?
Oh, yeah.
You know, I think we're growing, and obviously from all of those points, the homelessness, just whatever other things are going on in the world right now. I would like to think that they're doing that.
Yeah, and I know Chip, you know Chip, who produces it?
Yeah.
He's a big advocate for that. He's very big on like pushing for storylines that will target audience, like help audiences who are in like, because it's all about like teaching young kids about like life. Like the point of the show is like about life and the different types of people that are there, bullies. So yeah, stories that are like LGBT or about depression are really great for like educating young kids, and a show like Power Rangers is a perfect platform.
Yeah, so let's hope that they don't perceive that as some kind of risk, you know, because I'm sure the fandom will absolutely appreciate it.
Oh, they'll embrace that.
Yeah, and more of a risk to not put stuff like that in on like a moral level. I'm sure.
All right.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. The staff has informed me that we need to wrap up, so this will be the last question.
Luigi.
Thank you, Luigi.
No pressure. Thank you. Walk straight into that. Thank you guys so much for being here.
Thank you, Luigi.
No problem. I'm happy to be here too.
Going off of just what you were just talking about, in the age of, you know, Dark Knight, Joker, the gritty reboot, and I know it's good to have like PSA messages like you guys were saying, and that's kind of over here, but in like being honest about the violence of the show, and I mean, to be frank, you guys are child soldiers, right? Like it's a big, do you think like in the age of the gritty reboot, should Power Rangers stay over here for kids, or can we eventually, because you're talking about, can it eventually get a little bit more adult, like the original show? Where should it fall on that line for everyone? Sorry.
I think they're doing a good job of keeping those two worlds separate with the film universe, the Power Rangers film universe, and the television universe.
Yeah.
The television universe, I think, will pretty much predominantly stay geared towards children, and the film universe is going to be a little bit more gritty, a little bit more violent, and a little darker. But I think, as far as the PSA issues that you call them, I don't think they need to be framed as PSA, because you can tackle big social issues in a darker version of a beloved show like ours, without it looking like a PSA or like something that's like Schoolhouse Rock. You know?
No, I didn't mean that in jest. I'm sorry.
No, not at all. Oh, not at all. I'm tackling it just like that. You know,
And I think if they do approach like darker, bigger issues, it will be in a way that is kid-friendly. Like, because I think there's room for both, and there should be. It is like such a big franchise, and has such a big fan base that spans such a large age group. They have the ability to kind of like.
And the movies have always been a little bit different. That's totally true.
They compartmentalize well in that sense. Yeah.
But you know, at the same time, again, me being the older one, I think you guys decide a lot of that, man. Especially with social media and you know, just by showing up. If you guys start saying it's too dramatic or too not, I guarantee they're going to start changing it up. If it's too wild or too whatever, you guys take a lot, man.
The
So
producers do
you
listen to the
express
fans.
yourselves a lot. I think it has a lot to do with you guys.
The internet bugs.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
thank you so much for
that
question.
Thank you.
Unfortunately, we're going to have to wrap this panel up, but thank you all so much for being here. Again, Power Rangers. Power Rangers would not be what it is without fans like you. And I myself am a fan, Mighty Morphin Power Rangers 1993. But guys, again, thank you, Cameron Gibo, Jack Guzman, Davi Santos, and Ryan Carter. Please give them one more hand. to LA Comic Con again. My name is Ben Kliewer. I'm from The Con Guy. It's a podcast where we talk all things comic book convention. We have a secondary podcast called The Scare Guy, where we talk about horror conventions and stuff like that. And we're gonna take a big old group picture. Everybody, come here. We're gonna take a big selfie. Okay. I'm gonna take the best way to find me. I'll share it to you guys, and we'll post that picture on @theconguy on Instagram. Yep. TheConguy. Guys, thank you so much for coming in.